Welcome everybody to tonight's live stream. My name is Cyrus Janssen, and I have a very special guest that is joining me in the studio today. This is my dad, Irvin Janssen. Pops, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I am so glad to be here.
Oh, fantastic. So guys, we're going to have a very fun and interactive live stream tonight. And, it's really fun because, I started my YouTube channel approximately 2 years ago. And it's been amazing because, let me just mute this. Okay. Sorry. There we go. So I started my YouTube channel about 2 years ago, and I haven't been back to the hometown of Orlando, Florida, since I started a YouTube channel. And I haven't had a chance to, really connect with you, Pops, tell you, obviously you follow my YouTube work, and, I think you're a big fan of the channel.
Absolutely.
And, the interesting thing, and really the goal for today's live stream is I want to share your journeys, because you were able to join me in China, not once, not twice, but 3 separate times.
Oh, absolutely.
And, we've had a lot of fun in China. We were traveling in 2007 was our first initial trip. And I think you've learned quite a lot, from your travels in China. And anyways, I wanted to basically have a fun and interactive live stream. So I wanted to make sure that everybody, the reason why I really like live streams is that it's a little bit more intimate. Fans can interact with, we can interact with fans. We can answer some questions, but also we get a long time to tell some stories.
Oh, yeah.
So thanks for joining me tonight.
That's good. Well, we're pretty good at that, the storytelling.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, everybody, I want to welcome everybody. Let's take a look at the comment section here, see who is here. We've got, all right, Mansana, big supporter of the channel. Kevin James, hello, everybody. Pure white background. Yeah, we're actually in an office building here in downtown Orlando, Florida. So Orlando, Florida is my hometown, and I'm back here for the month of December visiting family. It's been my first time back in 4 years.
Yes.
And
we missed you.
I know. And well, it's also with COVID, we haven't been able to get back back to the United States. So it's really good to be back here. And Pops, we got 112 people now watching the live stream here.
Well, hello, 112.
Awesome. This is great. This will be really a lot of fun. So the cool thing here, Pops, I'm going to show you how this works. So we've got our screen here where people can interact with us. They can send in comments, they can ask questions, and, we're basically, we're going to be telling our stories. And, if anybody has questions, or if is there anything that you'd like, us to talk about specifically, we're going to do that. But I'm going to go back to the very beginning. Let's just go ahead and jump right in.
Oh, that's so good.
And I want to know, what was it like when your son, comes home and says, Dad, I'm getting ready to graduate university, and I have an opportunity to work in China. And then obviously I was going through that process, and then I got my job, and then, I accepted it. And I was about 2 weeks after I graduated university, I bought a one-way ticket to Shanghai, and I started my postgraduate career, in China, not in the United States. What was your first thoughts about that when you said, when I told you the news that I'm going to China?
Well, I tell you, I think the thing about it was that it didn't give me any anxiety at all, because you were going with a teaching system, David Ledbetter's teaching system, which was he's an iconic golf instructor, and I don't think if it hadn't been for that, I might have had some reservations. You had a good sponsor, I really felt like. Although I really didn't know anything about China, just the few things that, you see in the news, but we never studied it in school, and so it wasn't like I really knew a lot about it. It was communist red China, and it was really something that you didn't really know about, but it had kind of a negative connotation, when we thought about it, growing up. I'm not sure why, but it just kind of was that way.
Yeah. I think that's a really good insight, because I think here in America, we tend to, we obviously fear China a little bit. I think that, communism is a thing that we really fear. That word, I think, if you just say that in America, people are very fearful of that,
Yes.
and obviously we live in a very established democracy here. Freedom is a very big element here in American society. And so I think what was interesting is that, being and we're both, in Florida. So growing up in Florida, we're very close to Cuba, which is very famous, obviously, communist country. And, we kind of hear Fidel Castro and we think of an authoritarian dictator. And so that we've always had these very negative connotations. So I think that might have been your first thing, like, wow, I don't really know much about China, but you kind of start off having a negative idea about it. Now, what my dad was saying earlier, everybody, if you didn't catch that, we were saying that my first job in China, many of you might not know, I was actually a golf instructor. So, and what I went with is I went to go coach golf for a very famous golf coach named David Ledbetter. Now, David Ledbetter is actually based here in Orlando, Florida. And I helped open up one of the largest David Ledbetter golf academies in Shanghai. And that was my first job in China. And I think that was really the comfort that you were talking about, the fact that David Ledbetter is a very big brand, very well established. And, so it wasn't like I was going to China just on some random assignment. I mean, this was kind of a big contract and a very established kind of pathway, I think, moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And the more I think about it, when I really came back from China, I had really seen the way that China, life in China is. It really changed my total perspective of it. And as I began to tell, friends and family about it back here, I found there was a real lack of interest. It was just like I couldn't get anyone to really, focus on really what I was saying. And then I realized that I was in the same way that they were. I didn't know anything about it, and I really didn't care about it.
Yeah.
It was just something didn't have any exposure to.
Yeah.
But it was amazing to see, you go to China and just learn the language. And then, when you and I were there together, you were the interpreter, and it was just like I was never at a point where I felt uncomfortable,
Yeah.
because I always had the language there, and at the same time, you were showing me things that you discovered.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Now we got our first super chat in here. So the way this works, Pops, is sometimes, we get a lot of comments coming in, and sometimes people will send a donation to the YouTube channel. So our first one is from Trevor Norman, a big supporter of the channel, has sent in a £5 donation to the channel and a super chat. So Trevor, thanks for the support. And his question is, was your dad surprised how modern China was after the mainstream media says about the country? What was your first impressions there? Did that shock you to see how modern Shanghai was?
Well, it really was. In fact, it was amazing how modern, because you picked me up at the airport, and we took, mass transit, high speed, into the city, from the airport. And it was surprising how, even when we visited Beijing, that Shanghai was much more modern than the subway, for example, in Beijing.
Yeah, that's right.
Shanghai was really, really a modern city. It was just really, really amazing to really see it. And it was not something that I had really, thought that I would see. I mean, some of the pictures we see of China is everyone living on boats, they're, out in the ocean or right on the coast, in the bay, whatever.
Yeah.
And they've got these junks, and it's just like, that's where they live,
Yeah.
But it wasn't like you'd see a modern, high rises and, just the modern streets and, shops and, just restaurants. It was just really, really a different eye-opening thing.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. And, one of the funny things I remember when you first came to visit me in Shanghai, we're going around the city. And I remember you saying to me, like, Cyrus, this is quite amazing. I would never imagine there'd be so many different banks, in China. And at the time I remember thinking, why is that amazing? And go ahead and, tell, I think, you had basically said, our thought is this is a communist country. There's only one bank, no one has a choice. Everybody's going to bank at the one place. And
I didn't even think there would be a bank,
yeah,
in a communist country. I thought maybe everybody just, traded in, money, but it was something that they didn't need a bank. They basically, kept their money under the mattress, if you will, or just kept it, at their home or on their person. But to see all the different kinds of banks was to just really think, well, how does this really work,
Yeah.
And that was just the same thing that China's civilization and the people and the way they interact and trade all of the things that they have, we have. All the things that we have, they have. It's just, it has a different name and a different title, and it has, different signs.
Yeah.
But it is much more alike than it is different.
Oh, I like that point, and that's something that I really try to bring up in a lot of my YouTube videos. Talking about the fact that there's a lot more similarities between China and America than most people think. But I think your kind of your first impressions about China would be what a very typical American is, and I made the point of this earlier in a YouTube video. The video is titled why do most Americans not understand China? And that could really apply to why do most foreigners not understand China? And that is, and what you had alluded to, when I came back from China, I had tried to tell my friends, oh, I just came back from Shanghai. I did this with Cyrus. We did this, we did this. And to the average American, they really don't care.
It's absolutely true.
Yeah. I mean, and I alluded that to in my video I made earlier. You can search that on my YouTube channel, talking about, why do most Americans not understand China? And I had said the same thing. I had gone my first 2 years, I was, in China. And then after 2 years, I came back to Orlando, my hometown, for the first time. And I remember very distinctly, I met up with a group of my high school classmates. We were all met, I think, at a TGI Fridays, just a casual restaurant here in Florida. And there's about 12 of us together. And, here I was, I had been living in Shanghai. I'd gone on business trips to Macau, to Hong Kong. I went on holiday to Thailand, to Korea. I mean, from being just a local boy from Central Florida, I had, most of my friends had stayed in Orlando, and I was really the only one that had gone abroad and kind of got to see and do all these great things. And not that I was, wanting to brag about my travels, but I kind of thought, that they might be really interested in what I was saying. So as we sat down to, at the dinner table, all 10 of us, I started to, tell them a little bit about my stuff. And I just remember the look on their face. They were just completely disengaged. They just couldn't understand it almost. It's like I was speaking a foreign language to them. And, about 30 seconds into my speech, I realized, yeah, they're not really interested in this. And I don't want to be that guy that's just going to come and dominate the conversation and let me tell you this, let me tell you that. So I quickly just said, well, what about you guys? And everyone was like, hey, do you want to go back to the old high school? I think there's a football game on this Friday. And I was thinking, no, I don't. I don't really want to go back. I kind of had moved on from that, and I was really more interested in traveling the world and trying to learn different cultures and things like that.
Well, your story really has a happy ending and
Yeah.
an ongoing, story that continues to fold every day. But when you first went, when the culture shock of really just getting used to it was really amazing, because I can remember your actually not getting your contract, and your employment right away, and you had to actually leave and go to Hong Kong overnight or a day, just because you couldn't be in the country for more than 30 days, without having a contract.
Right.
And then when you got back, some of the things that you were promised in the contract, didn't come through. But the amazing thing is that the people that you met.
Yes.
I mean, the amazing thing that happened was the industry you chose. I mean, when you think about golf and all the things involved in that, you just gave yourself a great opportunity to meet so many amazing people.
Yeah.
Many, many just very nice and just very engaging people, a lot of very influential people as well. But the thing about it, I think, that was so amazing was the social aspect of it. The dinners and there was never a time in which you weren't, going out and meeting people and getting together for, a dinner, for a talk, for a golf game. And it just went on and on from there. But I do remember you're telling me several times, when you first got there, Dad, things are not just working out here. You said, if things don't change by November, I'm coming home.
Yeah.
And it was like, you said that probably somewhere in July.
Yeah.
And things changed.
Yeah.
You never ever said it again.
Yeah.
Because you went in January.
Yeah.
And you were there, you made the turn and really got adapted. You had some just amazing colleagues, that, you roomed with a pro from Canada, who is
shout out to Sean if you're watching.
Yeah, yeah,
Sean Kennedy, living in Shenzhen still.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then Michael Dickey. I mean, this guy from Scotland was just an amazing mentor for you. And
yeah,
I think the one thing about your learning the language was just so funny, because everywhere we traveled, no one's expected you to speak Chinese.
Yeah.
And then when you were starting to speak Chinese, it was just like they just couldn't believe it. And then it was just so amazing from there.
Oh, that's awesome. We got another donation here from Voltaire Dutuerte. I probably butchered that name, but Voltaire, thank you for the donation to the channel. And guys, we're over 330 people now in the stream pops, watching this chat. So pretty good. So guys, take a moment, and if you can, hit that like button for us, because that helps this video, helps the algorithm, helps this video get out. So, and certainly drop a comment down below. And, I think it's so much fun to, recount these journeys. And I want to take a moment and talk a little bit about that, because I had a really difficult, first few months in Shanghai. When I went there, I came on January 13th, 2007. That was my first day when I arrived in Shanghai. And I remember, I had a few issues going on. Number one, I didn't particularly get along well with my boss at the time. And, there was a lot of conflict, at work. My boss was originally, he's from New Zealand, and, him and I weren't, we just didn't gel that well in the beginning. And you're right. I remember calling you and chatting with you saying, look, I'm not really happy with this situation. And that was the interesting thing, is that I was debating, should I just leave China? Should I just go back to Florida? And this is something that when you say that story, it just turned for you and you never made that call again. This is something I think is a very valuable life lesson that I learned, was the fact that when I told that on the phone, I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make a decision to stay here for the rest of the year, because there's no point to come to China for a month or 2 months or 3 months. Let's give it a full 12 months. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go all in on China. So I said, from the moment I made that mental decision to say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to commit to a year, and starting today, I'm going to start learning Chinese. And so I went down to the reception of my workplace, and I remember, writing out the numbers, 1 through 10. And I remember pointing to them and saying, like, to the girls at the reception, I'm like, teach me how to count to 10 in Chinese. But it was a mental shift that I did. Instead of thinking every day, should I go? Should I stay? Should I go? I then shifted my mental state to, I'm staying for at least a year, no matter what happens. And I'm going to go all in. I'm going to really give it my best effort. And as soon as I made that mental shift, that's when things started to change for me, because then all of a sudden I knew that I wasn't going home. I knew I was going to stay there. And then I started filling my brain with, how do I learn Chinese? If I'm going to stay here, I'm going to need to learn how to speak this language in order to, work better, in order to make money, in order to, have a good career in China. And so that's just a nice life lesson that I learned, is that power of committing to a goal. And then exactly like that, I end up, when I came after that year, I ended up coming back to home. I flew back to America for holiday. I came back for Christmas that year. And, I had a great year, had a really great first year in China. And it was just a really successful time. But I remember our conversations were so crucial,
Well, really, again, going back to that network of people that you meet, in the golf industry, and the fact that it is such a social industry, was you got to meet most of the pros that were teaching, that were from the West, or from different parts of the world, that taught in all the other golf courses, around the city.
Yeah.
And in that, then you also met a lot of people that spoke English, but, had been residing in China for a while. And speaking of learning the languages, I never forget what you said about when you talked to one of the say, I will learn Chinese.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Look, we got a comment here from Jerry Chang. I took lessons from Michael Dickey as well. Great coach.
Oh, there.
I love that. That's so good. That is fantastic. So shout out to Michael, my good friend back in Shanghai. So if anybody's in Shanghai and you're wanting to find a golf coach, one of my best friend, actually the best man at my wedding,
Yes.
Michael Dickey, owns and operates the Michael International Golf Academy, and he's doing a great job there in Shanghai, one of the largest golf training centers now in Shanghai. I think he's got 4 locations now in Shanghai.
I see.
So it's been amazing. When we went, when you first went in 2007 to come visit, to see, and you met Michael obviously, and we've had a lot of good time with him. So that's pretty amazing, to see.
And Michael did coach the Chinese national team for how many years?
Yeah, here's this comment here. So from Jerry Chang. Michael Dickey coached the Chinese national team for about, I think, 2 or 3 years, so he was working with the national team as the coach. And also he's coached many of the top players in China. Many of the top Chinese professionals have been under the tutelage of Michael Dickey. So, really a great Scotsman. He's been in China for now almost 20 years, I think. And, he continues to do really well there. So again, this is really a lot of fun, this live stream. This is what I love about this, is kind of recanting some of these old lessons. And yeah, another life lesson there, that story that you had told. I was in my second week in China, and I remember it was a Saturday morning. We were at a coffee shop, and it was kind of this expat meetup group. And I remember, and when you in 2007, we still had business cards. Now everything's done on WeChat, right? No one has business cards in China. Now you just exchange WeChats. But I remember at the time I met this American, and I handed him my business card, and you always, hand it with 2 hands. And I remember, the business cards traditionally is always, English on one side, Chinese on the other. And I remember him taking my card, and he flipped it over to the Chinese side, and he started reading it back to me in Chinese. And I had only been in China for about 2 weeks. So this was the first foreigner I had ever met that spoke Chinese and then could read it as well. And I was just mind blown, like, wow, this guy can read Chinese. And anyways, he said, yeah, what are you doing here? And, I said, I'm a golf coach. I've been in China for 2 weeks. I've just started my journey. I really would like to learn Chinese. And that's when he looked at me and he's like, no, you don't say, I would like to learn Chinese. You say, I am learning Chinese. Because, that's that a lot of expats get in that problem where they're there for 4 or 5 years. Yeah, I'd really like to learn Chinese. So that was one of the first, phrases that I learned to say in Chinese, actually, because people would be like, oh, 你会说中文吗? Do you speak Chinese? And, and then my first response is, usually the typical foreigner would be like, oh, 一点点, a little bit, but I would say like, 是的, 我会说我在学习中文. I'm literally studying Chinese right now. 我在学习中文. And so just that little change in the verb, I am studying Chinese as opposed to, oh, a little, or yeah, I'd like to do it one day, So what about let's talk about our first trip. I think this is a good time. So we're coming up on 400 people here in the chat. This is a good time, guys. Oh, we got another little donation here from Leon. Some New Zealand donation, little thumbs up here emoji. Thank you, Leon, for the super chat. And a couple other people there's one thing I do want to say. I think a couple people got confused a little bit about my poster today when I said I brought my dad to China. We're not actually in China. So I think a lot of people were confused by this. Some people have asked in the comment section, are you guys in quarantine right now? Where are you in China? We are not in China. This is live from Orlando, Florida. So my title of this is I brought my dad to China is obviously, he's come to visit me on 3 separate occasions. What were the 3 times? You remember?
2007.
Yep.
2010 and then 2014.
Nice. Yeah, perfect. So 2007, you came solo.
Yes.
And then 2010, you brought mom.
Yes.
Right. So the 2 of you came. And then 2014, you brought mom again. And that was for my wedding that was in Hong Kong.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a total of 3 there. So that was 3 good visits. So Leon, thanks again for the chat. And another donation here from AY. Thank you so much for the support to the channel, guys. You guys are awesome. Now, before we go into this, I want to take a moment here. We've got about 450 people now in the chat, and I want everybody to know. So the next thing in our segment here, we're gonna show you some photos from our original trip 15 years ago, 2007, when we made that first trip to China. I'm gonna bring up some photos, but I do have a sponsor for today's video, and I'm gonna play a short little 50-second ad. And this is kind of fun because I have another YouTube channel. And I think many of you might know this. You know that I'm a sportsman. You know that I'm a golfer. I have a second YouTube channel that focuses on lifestyle, fitness, golf. And I've just started this channel. So there's only a few hundred subscribers. So if you can, I would love for you to go to that second channel and also hit a subscribe button there. And what I'm going to do is I've put the link down below in this video description. So you can click on that to watch the full video. But what I'm going to do right now is I want to just show you guys a fun little video that I made, and to give a big shout out to the sponsor for today. So let's take a look at this. Hello everybody, I want to welcome you back to the YouTube channel, and I know that I have many fans and subscribers right here in Vancouver, Canada. Now the sponsor for today's video is one of my favorite brands in Vancouver. This is Stay Fresh Canada, and if you are an athlete like myself that likes great apparel, some amazing shoes, what I want you to do is come and check out the amazing inventory here at Stay Fresh Canada. The holiday season is here, Christmas is approaching, so is Boxing Day. There's going to be some amazing sales going on here at Stay Fresh Canada. Now what I want you to do is I want you to click the link down below, and it's going to take you to my secondary YouTube channel that focuses on lifestyle, athletics, and fitness. And you're going to see the entire video that we've done with Stay Fresh Canada. So I want to give a huge thank you to Stay Fresh for sponsoring today's video. Click that link below and let's get started on some amazing content. All right, so huge shout out to Stay Fresh Canada for supporting. So Stay Fresh, guys, an amazing brand. I know I do have a lot of followers, a lot of subscribers that are based in Vancouver. Again, I'm here in Orlando, Florida, my hometown, on a holiday. I live full-time in Vancouver. So guys, if you're watching from, the lower mainland, if you're watching from Canada, do me a favor, follow Stay Fresh Canada on Instagram. You can find the links in the description below. And then also go ahead and click on that video link. It takes you to my secondary YouTube channel. I'd love for you guys to watch that video. If you could subscribe there as well, that would be fantastic, as we're just starting that channel out. I'd like to get that channel going as well. But of course, this channel focuses on China. I mean, I've got really two big passions in my life. I love my golf. I love, being an entrepreneur and, investing and things like this. And then also obviously China as well. So, this is the Cyrus Janssen channel where I talk mainly about China. Obviously, Pops, we're proud Americans. We love this country. It is an amazing country. Amen. And we're so blessed to be here in America. And I want everybody to, that's really the key thing of my channel, is that where I kind of think I'm a little bit different than others is, one is, as an American, I want to make sure that everybody knows that, I really try to be a great representation of my country, yes, when I'm abroad. Yeah. I've been abroad now for 15 years. Yes. And I find it a really big responsibility, because I think when I'm an American living abroad, I'm representing my country, all the time, and I know, like, I've been to some very rural parts of China where, you remember when we were at the cathedral in Shanghai and we met that local family?
Oh, it was amazing. Just the reaction to us, and I think Cyrus, because of his height, was they were just absolutely studying you and just really couldn't believe that they actually was seeing someone foreign. Now, that wasn't always the case. It seemed like everywhere we went, where there was never really an incident where people even noticed it. Yeah. They were more interested in their day-to-day, what they were doing. They were on their way to work or on their way home or to school or to shopping or whatever, but they really didn't take an interest in us. But when we were in more of a tourist point, and that was, people going around this beautiful Roman Catholic cathedral that was in Shushan, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shushan,
and
exactly.
So this one particular family, the guy was studying Cyrus and more than the rest of us. And then when he spoke in Chinese, he just absolutely jumped back, it was just something that he had a moment of just, almost fear in a way, almost as if here is often people in China referred to foreigners as foreign devils, and it was like, this may have been his background, that he was thinking, well, here is somebody that's really strange, somebody I've never seen before. And then now he's speaking my language. What is this all about? That was really a day to remember.
Yeah, that was fun. This is a really funny comment. Cyrus, I'm kind of worried you might be bald one day. That's okay.
Oh.
I might be. I like that. Wengu,
yeah.
thanks for the comment. I like that. I know I have a lot of fans, especially in China, that have commented on my hair. I'm turning 38 next month. I'm sorry, this month. I'm turning 38 next week. It's my birthday, the day after Christmas.
Yeah, just kind of keep that in mind if you want to send him a birthday greeting. He was born about, I'd say, about a mile and a half from where we're sitting right now.
Amazing. Yeah,
And,
Orlando Hospital.
My wife Heidi and I, we went through the Lamaze classes, so I was actually there when he was first born, and I remember that there was this absolute feeling that I thought, come on, breathe.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he breathed his first breath, and it was just like he's been talking ever since.
Yeah. Nice. Here we go. We got a couple more super chats in. So DWWD, thank you for the keep it up emoji there for the super chat there. Very, very kind of you. Big supporter of the channel. Very much appreciate your support. And Trevor Norman, another donation. And this is, he says, when I go to China to see my wife's family, I never want to leave and hate coming back to the UK. It is so backward here compared to China. Interesting take. I mean, I think a lot of people, it's amazing when you get the chance to travel to China, because I feel that, so many people here they don't really have any idea of what China's like. I mean, I never forget being at you remember the party that we threw for me when, I think it was like kind of my farewell party at the house before I was getting ready to leave. We probably had 50, 60 people at the house. And I remember, I forgot who it was, but somebody had asked me, will your apartment have electricity in it?
Oh.
And that, I mean, that's just, again, like many people don't know. I mean, They just don't know anything about that. And that's why I really, love having this YouTube channel in order to try to share some insights. And like you said, very, early in the stream, like there's a lot more similarities between US and China than people know. And like you said, even there, we're two foreigners walking around in Shanghai, but for most people, they're just worried about their day. They're trying to get to work, trying to see their kid after school, trying to, hustle, make some money, try to do something, not necessarily, always worried about other things.
Again, one of the real amazing insights about understanding China is that I think probably the majority of the people really don't realize that, foreigners can buy property. When you bought your condominium there in Shanghai, it was just a beautiful, well appointed apartment. You had some actual carpenters come in and do some remodeling, some bookcases and some different displays inside the house.
Yeah.
Had some repairs done, and then it ended up being a very good investment for you.
Mm-hmm.
So to be able to buy and sell property, within China is something that, of course, I had no idea that you could do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that people don't really, know. And I mean, that's actually how a lot of people, this is an amazing thing. I had met some, for example, some people from Hong Kong. They're the most amazing time, probably the best real estate investment opportunity in the world would have came in like early 2000s, if you were in Shanghai, early 2000s. And I had met one of my previous clients. He was from Hong Kong. I think he moved to Shanghai in around 1999. And at that time, the price point on an apartment was just so cheap. And, he had bought, dozens of apartments because the price was so cheap. And then over the next 20 years, I mean, you're talking about probably like a 50 to 100 times increase on price. I mean, just, we're not talking like I've doubled my investment in real estate. I mean, he's made just unbelievable amount of money on real estate appreciation, just with that rise in China. And things have tightened up a lot. For example, foreigners now, you're limited to, I think, owning one piece of property. That was the law when I bought a 2-bedroom apartment in Shanghai, and I bought that in 2009, and then I sold it in 2016. And so, but it was just a great opportunity because one of the laws is that you have to have a valid work permit and you have to live in the city that, that you're going to buy in.
I see.
So it was, I couldn't buy one in Shanghai or in Beijing, like example. I needed to, buy that. And a couple other, donations, Will Wang, coming in with the little emoji, little thumbs up there from the little fox there. Thank you for that support. And also, I think we got another one. I don't want to miss any of these super chats from TC Law 2021, #1 fan, little emoji. Thank you for the support to the channel. So guys, at this point, let's go ahead. There we go. One can lease land for 70 years and build on it. but not the land. Yeah, the key interesting thing with that, it is true. You don't own the land. It is a lease from the government. Yeah, so I do own the building. Like I bought an apartment, so I would have access to my apartment. But obviously, I remember signing it. It was something like a 75-year lease on the land.
I see.
And that is something very interesting as well, where people, people are like, well, were you, so technically, I mean, I had a lease from the Communist Party of China, on that land. And at any time they could have came in and, let's say that they would have wanted to demolish that apartment block to make a new road or a subway system, they would have had to compensate the people,
Right.
that own that. And that's typical that happens. We see that a lot happening in China. So,
well, in a sense, our system is really very parallel with that, in the sense that if you don't pay your taxes, guess who really does own your property? It is, your local jurisdiction.
yeah.
And so obviously everybody pays their taxes, or the majority do.
Yeah.
And if they don't, it goes on the auction block. So, I think it is very parallel.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Pops, we've got 560 people in the stream now. So I mean, we're just climbing up there, guys. I want to thank you guys for taking time out of your day to spend it with us. We're just getting started. We're having a good time. It goes by fast though, doesn't it?
Oh, it does.
Isn't it fun though? We're on YouTube,
yeah.
having a good time. Got everybody. If you're just joining the stream right now, we are live from Orlando, Florida. This is my first trip back home in 4 years. So it's been a long time since I've been back home. It's been my longest time away from the hometown. I've seen you guys obviously some times between that. Our family's been busy. We had twin boys, a few years ago. Our twins are now 3 years old. So that's what's kind of hard. We're a family of 5 now. So, traveling back is a long journey from Vancouver, Canada, but we're here for the month of December, spending time. Very grateful for the weather here. Oh, we've been blessed. It's been amazing weather. But I want to do now, guys, is I want to share a little bit of some photos and kind of recount some of our journeys here. So let's kind of start from the beginning. And Pops, this is a fun photo right here, because when we went to China in 2007, one of the first things that we saw was the 2007 Women's World Cup. And that was held, the opening game. This is actually the picture of the opening ceremony there. And, there were 16 nations that were competing. And this was just a really cool stadium that we were in. The power of beauty there. That is what it says in the, it was kind of the theme of that event. And I remember the opening game was actually Germany versus Argentina. I remember that was the opening game. I'm very surprised why it wasn't China. I don't know why it wouldn't have been China as the opening game. I believe the German team was #1 in the world, and they did win that World Cup in a very convincing fashion. And it was pretty, we're just looking through these photos here, beautiful football stadium here. And, I just wanted to share kind of that insight. Because the fun thing here, fun fact, my mother, your wife, is from Germany.
Yes.
So we've been a very big supporter of the German football team, obviously. And so what do you remember from that? Do you remember any of that game that we went to?
Well, I think the thing about it is the color.
Yeah.
There's just so much color and pageantry, in the different way the stadium is decorated, in colors and in lights.
Look at that. Look at this opening ceremony. I mean, that's a beautiful image there,
And this is just so typical of anywhere that you go in China. I mean, if you go up on a hill and you're looking down on rooftops, you'll just see a design in the tile.
Yeah.
If you're looking across a paved area, you'll see a design in the paving. It's just amazing that in China they never lose an opportunity, to put art in it and color.
Nice. That's good. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that.
Just really, really amazing. It is just a banquet, for your eyes, to see color all over, and design and
I like
art.
that.
It is a very, very beautiful place.
Great answer. That was fantastic. That was really, really nice. I like that. Let's see. That is a really good answer. And, so, I remember we had a lot of activity there because, this was, I moved to China in January 2007. And then in September, I think it was around September, you came. So I was roughly there for about 9 months before you came. And I was able to speak, some decent, Mandarin in order to help us get around. And, this was a fun photo here. This is us, right there on the Bund, having dinner. I believe this is M on the Bund. It would be the restaurant that this would be at, but we had a really nice table there right on the Bund. Wanted to make sure that we got a nice meal overlooking the skyline there. That's probably one of the most beautiful skylines in the world. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, because you have the river as a reflection, of the lights across the bay there.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this was the day that we had bought all of those trinkets. There was this.
No, this is a good story. This is a fun story.
There was a man walking down the street, and he had a broomstick, and then on the broomstick there was these little things that were made out of wood and paper, and they were designs. And there was he had on each one of the black strings that came down, there was like maybe a dozen or more.
Yeah.
And then in the total stick, there was probably about 20 different types of them. And so people would come up to him and they would want to buy, one of them. And so he'd untie the string and sell it to them. But I said to Cyrus, I said, well, I'd like to get a few of those. They'd make really a good Christmas tree decoration. And so
let me just where we were at was on Nanjing Xilu, which is or Nanjing Donglu, which is Nanjing East Road, and that is the famous pedestrian walking street in Shanghai. And so, basically this man was somebody that was selling these little trinkets. Yeah, it's his living. That's how he made money on the street. And the funny thing is I've never seen that at any other time than the time that we saw it there.
Yeah.
In my 7 years of living in Shanghai, I'd never seen somebody sell things like that. But it basically had a long broomstick, and he had all of these, and they looked like Christmas ornaments.
Yes, they did.
But they were made out of paper or little, wood or something like that. And they were very small, and they had a string on them. But he had a broomstick with probably at least 100 of them.
If not more.
If not more, maybe 200 of them.
Yeah.
And so what was really fun, that was one of the best things. And I think you have it on camera. But again, this is 2007, so I think it was the old camcorders. But it was quite interesting. Is this guy? We start having a conversation, and remember, you're like, well, let's get like 10 or 20. And then I think you just said, well, why don't we just buy the whole thing?
Yeah.
And so I'm negotiating him in my pretty broken Chinese, my 9-month Chinese level, which wasn't the best, but it was functional. And immediately there was a big crowd around us, because all of a sudden you got this big white American guy, speaking Chinese.
And the negotiations is getting heated. And obviously there was a lot of cell phones with cameras on them. And so there was a lot of photographs taken.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So, people were, but it was really one of those things, like that would have been an amazing YouTube video, actually, if we could find that, via that camcorder recording. But, I really wish I would have been a YouTuber back in the day and kind of recorded my journeys through China, because we'd had some wild times, but that was so much fun. So anyways, we ended up negotiating him a price for the entire broomstick with probably 200 ornaments on it.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what the price was, but it was something reasonable and a price that he was happy with as well. But I remember, so we bought it. So then I had to walk through the city, with the broomstick and 200 ornaments. And I remember, getting back to the hotel, or, I think you were staying with us at our apartment, and, you're just packing them in your suitcase. And, it was, but what a great, probably a great gift for you, right? Come back to Orlando, and
it was
you
amazing.
could kind of give out a gift to everybody you see almost.
Well, and then your mother made a Christmas tree out of it. It was totally decorated with them.
Yeah.
It was just really, really amazing.
Yeah, that's a good story. I forgot about that. Thank you, Pops, for bringing that up. Guys, thank you so much. If we got 630 people in the stream now, make sure you hit that like button for us. That really helps with the algorithm here. And we're going to continue our journey here and bring up some old photos. Now, this is the bottom of the Lupu Bridge, one of the bridges there. And this is a really fun shot because, one of the interesting things here, and I apologize about the photos here. You can see we're kind of on the side here. But anyways, you got the photo in the middle. And what we can do is actually walk across this entire bridge. So there's a stairway that goes up the entire side. And, this was kind of a fun tourist thing to do. And here's you and me at the very top of the bridge there, looking down. And it was kind of a fun tourist thing, but something that I don't think many people really do that in Shanghai. It's not like, like, for example, I remember we took a taxi to get there. Not many people, like the taxi driver had no idea that you could even do that. There wasn't really clear drop-off area. There wasn't really anybody else there when we did it.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty cool thing. I think it's with one of the whatever type of bridge that is, it's one of the largest in the world.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, speaking of taxi drivers, that was really interesting. If I recall correctly, you were telling me that was 50,000 taxi drivers, in Shanghai. So it was never really a problem to get a cab. And then each of the cab drivers, they have a little thing just right would be the glove compartment, or just where the passenger rides, that they have a number of stars is because each one of them is rated according to their ranking, and I think it's probably sometimes longevity, maybe safety, maybe it's just the public's giving them their endorsement and some kind of a comment or something. But it was always interesting to see what level of driver we had, by the number of stars that he had.
That's right. Yeah, there's the ranking system when you're in Shanghai. It's 1 to 5 stars. And, the taxi, and, now everything's different because, back in 2007, obviously you go out on the side of the street and you wave your hand and you're flagged down a taxi. Now, everything's on the app. You cannot physically stand on the street in Shanghai and get a taxi, with your hand anymore. You have to order it, very like Uber, but that's everybody now. And I learned that firsthand last business trip in 2019. I went back, I couldn't get a taxi because my phone wasn't working. I couldn't get my Didi I couldn't get it working on my phone. So after we had some good times in Shanghai. That's where I was living. And then we decided to venture out into the countryside a little bit. And we flew up to Qingdao. And we flew out to Qingdao and then went to Yangtai. And this is the photo I think I took at the airport here. This was in the airport in Qingdao. And, this is the sailboats there. And you can see here, this was the Beijing 2008 sailboat, logo. So this was again September 2007. So we're roughly 9 months away from the Beijing hosting the Summer Olympics that year or the next year. And we had flown up. Here's a picture of us outside the actual Olympic international. What does this say? The Olympic. This is the Qingdao Olympic Sailing Center. So this was we had. I remember it was raining a lot. This was we were walking along the seaside there in Qingdao. And it wasn't the best weather while we were there, but we had some fun times there. But
just as a reminder, was that also part of that city was developed by German influence, and wasn't the brewery there for the beer?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, Qingdao beer, most famous beer in China, and that's exactly right. And I remember reading in my Lonely Planet guidebook that I had at the time, that Qingdao, and I remember you had commented on the architecture. You can see a lot of European influence in the city of Qingdao, and where we went. Some of the way that the buildings were built, and definitely had a German or a European flair to them. And I remember reading in the book that I don't know the exact date, but it was something like, the German immigrants came in and they had founded the Qingdao Brewery in 1831, and then they had built the Qingdao Cathedral in 1833. So I was like, that's funny. They built the brewery, a couple of years before the cathedral. I was like, get the priorities right, for the Germans. Those dates are wrong, but it was something along those lines as far as when they actually built that. I thought that was really really funny. So the cool thing here is that the reason why we went to Qingdao is because the golf course that I was working for in Shanghai was called Silport Golf Club. Now, Silport Golf Club is owned by a Taiwanese gentleman named Beta Song. In Chinese, it's Shubao Gaofu Qiuqiang, Shubao Gaofu Julebu. So that's the Chinese name of Silport. But they have a very, very, very beautiful Lynx style golf course right on the China Sea. And I really wanted to go there and experience that. And I was so happy to bring you there. And I mean, let's pull up some photos of this, Pops, because this is the golf course scenery here that we went up. And this is near Yangtai. This is a golf course called Tiger Beach. And actually the owner, Beta Song, he designed the course. He actually designed the course himself. And what's beautiful here is this is a nice scenery photo here. And you can see, this is the golf course. In the middle of this photo here is a lake, and then in the back there we can actually see the the China Sea there. I think that is the East China Sea, or whatever body of water that is. I think it's the East China Sea there, but it is the China Sea. So you've got the ocean right there. And one of the fun things that we like that we always do whenever we go to the coast, we're always trying to dip a toe in the water, so so we were playing this golf course that's a links course. Now, for those of you that are not golfers, a links course is a course that's traditionally found in the UK and Scotland. And a links course, is very flat. There's not a lot of trees, and it's by the ocean, so there's a lot of wind and a lot of rain. And this is a Scottish styled golf course that was built in China. And not a lot of people traveled there, but as you can see, we caught it on a beautiful day. It was just a really memorable round. And this is us, for example, at the clubhouse there, Tiger Beach Golf Links. This is the photo. That's one of my favorite photos of us, from our travels. When we got the chance to go and play some golf there. And there's just a really good experience there. For example, I like this photo as well. You walking, and you've got the caddy there, carrying your clubs for you. And then, of course, that beautiful ocean in the background. And we were staying on property. I remember one evening, I think we went down, and did we jump full body in, or did we just put our feet in?
We jumped in.
Yeah, we jumped all the way in. So
absolutely.
That's one of the things we really enjoy doing is, what were some memories you had from the Tiger Beach experience?
Well, again, when you showed the picture of the caddies, that was really interesting. The way the golf carts were built is they were built so that you have the driver of the cart, and then the passenger, and then behind that you have the clubs, and then behind that you have a step, that the caddies are stand on.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about the caddies is they really don't necessarily speak a lot of English. They may know it, but chances are that they probably don't. But one of the amazing things is that you get out there and you're addressing the ball, on the fairway, and you hit it right down the line, and you hear, "Nice drive."
Yeah.
Nice drive.
Now,
and at the same time, if you hit it way off into the rough right there, they don't say anything.
Yeah.
It's just total silence, But what was the beautiful job about the caddies there is that they do go out and find the ball for you. And in their finding the ball, they're assuming that you might use either 1, 2, or 3 different clubs. And so they'll give you the selection standing over the ball as to which one of these clubs do you want to use, and so you take the club of your choice and you drive it back into the fairway, and then you head back on down toward the hole.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm gonna show everybody a photo. This is actually from 2010. So this was on your second trip to China, and this is at the golf course that I was working at the time, called Shushan. And Shushan is one of the most famous golf courses in China. And these are our wonderful caddies that were there. And you had a great round of golf there. And this is another photo of us playing golf in China. And this is at the time, I was the head golf professional, working at this golf club. And here's us. This is actually the 5th hole at Shushan. I remember this hole very clearly. And you are me giving a little instruction towards you. So it was really a lot of fun. Some good memories. I think a fun experience for your son to go over to China, become a head golf pro at a good golf course, really work in the golf industry and the sports industry, growing the game of golf. And then here you are, coming out, getting a chance to play golf in China. We've played a few rounds of golf, and I think it was a really, really fun experience.
Well, it really was. And when you see the caddies there in their beautiful outfits, and when you're down at the clubhouse and you're seeing all of the action getting ready to start, there'll maybe be 100 caddies that are standing all together, around their different carts, and they're all dressed, with this bonnet, they've got the white gloves, they're, just protected from the sun, but also really, just have their really pretty little uniforms. But one of the funny things is that they could not believe the size of my hands.
Yeah.
And so they wanted to actually take their glove off, and put their hand on top of my hand to see how it measured up, and how really petite it was next to mine.
Yeah. So, and Pomps, you're a general contractor here in Florida. So your job is remodeling and building houses, and so you have very strong hands. You've got those, hands, you grew up on the farm in Iowa. You've been working hard every day, so you've got those big hands. I remember that. That was really good. And I think this is one of my favorite photos from the trip. And this was a local farmer there in Yangtai who would walk his herd of goats, out on the golf course. And this is how, not all of the course, but a lot of the, they would be, chewing the grass, and that's how they would be maintaining, a lot of parts of the golf course there. And you would see this would be similar practice in New Zealand, and I'm sure parts of the UK, would have, similar things like this. But it was just really a neat interaction, just having a casual chat with this guy, just a few words, hello, how are you? Nice to see you. And, here we are, just two Americans playing golf on the beautiful countryside there, right on the East China Sea. I mean, that was really cool. I really love that photo. And this is a good one as well. Just showing you, for example, if you're into golf, these bunkers are very deep. That's a very traditional Lynx style bunker. You can see almost as tall as me. I'm 6'4", so I'm a pretty tall guy. You can see that's a very big elevation there, and just some great ones. And here's the last one. So this is that Tiger Beach golf links. And there's a photo of me, holding up the flag stick there. Great day, playing golf there in China. And now, of course, when you come to China, there's one city that you have to go to. And I think we were really, anticipating our trip to the capital city. And that, of course, was, Beijing. So we had a chance to, fly right into Beijing. And of course, we went to the famous Tiananmen Square. So this is right outside of Tiananmen Square, right at the entrance to the Gugong, the Forbidden City. And Pops, tell me about your first impressions of Beijing. What do you remember from being in, spending some time together in Beijing?
Well, I think one of the ones that is probably really memorable was that it happened in a restaurant, and we had gone into what would have been a family-style restaurant. It was a small area. The family was, bringing us the food, and as we were leaving, the owner said to you, he says in Chinese, which I didn't understand what he said, but he says, "Your dad doesn't know how to use chopsticks, does he?"
Yeah.
And I thought, well, what's the problem? The food is gone. I maybe didn't use them the way you wanted me to, but I did. But what I did was I've always maintained chopsticks in our house, and I eat most of my meals with chopsticks now.
Yeah.
Thanks to that guy.
No, that was really good. And what's really funny is that I remember that because you took that as a challenge. You got called out because you didn't know how to use chopsticks. But fair enough. I mean, I don't think most Americans really know how to. I mean, why would you have that skill unless you have developed it? And anyways, but I remember soon after that, I think you bought quite a lot of chopsticks in China as well, maybe as some souvenirs and kind of just some mementos to have.
Right.
And I remember coming back every year and there's always a big stack of chopsticks at the house.
Yeah.
And, you'd eat everything from a salad to, even your steak, you'd cut up before, have it in pieces, and then use your chopstick to eat it. And Mom, she still struggles with the chopsticks.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But as with every big city or with many places that you want to go see, there are so many things to actually see in Beijing. And Cyrus, you really were the tour guide for that. To walk through the Forbidden City was really just amazing. To see the
here's that picture, guys. So this is the obviously the famous picture there, Forbidden City. This is from one of the Buddhist temples that we were standing atop. Gives you good vista over the Forbidden City there. Beautiful part of China. I mean, obviously Beijing is really where the history is, the culture. It is quite an amazing city. And one of the funny things is that Beijing over the years, and especially at that point in China, 2007, there was some really heavy pollution in China and many times in Beijing. But I always had kind of this special, connection to Beijing. Every time I'd go there for work, I caught it on a day like this where the weather was really nice. And so I remember having some Beijing colleagues, and they were like, "You need to come visit us more often. Every time you come, it's sunny. You bring the sunshine with us." And this was the that Buddhist park that we were at. This was near here, and you could see a beautiful sunset that evening in Beijing. You can see the moon up above, and it's really, some of the most stunning scenery I've seen. I mean, this is again one of the river shots that is outside the Forbidden City there. I mean, you can see, and Beijing is so beautiful because of the seasons as well. I mean, you go there in the summer, the lily pads are, cover up the river. You got the lush green trees everywhere. And you come back in the winter and that, all the lily pads are gone and everything's frozen solid with ice. So, I mean, you really get some great seasons, but these willow trees, I mean, just beautiful. I mean, what a lovely, part of the world, and what a lovely part of China. So I think we really enjoyed it. I wanted to show this photo. This is a really cool photo because, again, this is inside, I believe this is inside the Forbidden City somewhere. It's obviously very big place in there. And as you can see that artwork on the bottom, like you had mentioned, always a chance to show off some beautiful artwork. That is the logo of the 2008 Summer Olympics, right there in the center of there on the ground. And of course, I mean, we have to, just admire this incredible architecture. I mean, these, it doesn't get more stunning than that, when you're coming to China and seeing, this.
One of the really fun little adventures and kind of an anecdote of our travels was when Cyrus was, learning to speak Chinese, in Silport, where he was a golf instructor with the David Ledbetter system. They had an interpreter there, and her name was Sophia.
Mm-hmm.
And Sophia's family lived in Beijing, and so we were going to visit Beijing from Shanghai, and so we met up with her and her family. She had a sister, and then her parents, so the four of us had dinner together, and I asked Sophia, I said, when you were growing up, which one of you really learned to cook at your mother's knee? And she said, neither one of us. She says, Mother did all the cooking. She didn't want us to learn how to cook. Our job was to study.
Yeah, exactly. And that was really good. My first Chinese translator, her Chinese name was Wenming, which means like civilized, or like civilization. But like civilized would be the best way to translate that. Like civilized person. But her, Sophia was her English name, and she's done very well now. She's married a very, very nice doctor, and I'm actually still keeping in contact with her and hear from her every now and then. Here we are, 15 years later. And, I think kind of the highlight, and this is something I really wanted to share, because this is really, out of all my years in China, I would say this is one of the most special things that I have done. And I'm so excited to have been able to share that with you. Actually, before, let me just show you, this is some of the flower arrangements. I remember this was near the Forbidden City. And this is, again, getting ready. I mean, again, this was about 9 months prior to the 2008 Summer Olympics. And, you can see the medal there, the gold medal, beautiful display there. And then this was actually the backside of that. And that's actually what the Beijing 2008 medal looked like. That was the front and back of that. And then it has the little emblem there right in the center, Beijing 2008 with the Olympic rings. But what a gorgeous flower display, and like you said, there's always an opportunity for some artwork. So these are kind of some special pictures, because it just makes me remember, the sweet time, of being in China. And also, I think the interesting thing about going to China in 2007, that was really the start of China just hitting this amazing run of growth. I mean, that was really, Beijing 2008 was China's coming out party. That was really when they announced to the world, hey, we're on the world stage now. We're hosting the Olympics. Our economy is growing at double-digit growth every year, for so many years consecutively. And there was such a great, even there 9 months before the Olympics, I think people, especially in Beijing, they were getting so excited to host the biggest event in the world.
Well, just some of the structures that were built, and I think you're going to show us the bird's nest at some point, was
Yeah, I've got that.
an amazing piece of architecture, that was, what was the stadium? What events were held in there? Do you recall?
Well, this is the bird's nest. And so we went there specifically, because you're in construction. And so I wanted you to see that firsthand. And, we just took a taxi there just to basically get a photo of it. And it was so awesome to see the Bird's Nest under construction. And now the Bird's Nest, they would have hosted, they hosted the opening ceremony.
Yes.
You know, was held there. Obviously the opening and the closing, but all your track and field events would have been in there. So, you know, Usain Bolt, when he made his really Olympic debut, and I mean, not his debut, but his coming out party, I think he won 3 medals for Jamaica, you know, winning the 100-meter, the 200-meter, and then the 4x100 relay for Jamaica. You know, that was all at the Bird's Nest. So all of your track and field events, you know, would have been in the Bird's Nest. And again, this will be the stadium that will be the opening ceremony in just maybe about 45 days or so, you know, until Beijing hosts the Winter Olympics.
I see.
And so I wanted you to see that. And then this is a really cool building here that I think many of you will recognize this building. This is actually the Cctv Building. And again, we wanted to check this out because of the architecture. And I've got a video of this now that it's completed. I'm going to play this for everybody right now. It's a very short video, but this shows you how it looks today. Yeah, so that shows you what it looks like today. But this was during the middle of the construction. So again, this was, you know, about 9 months prior to the Olympics, and you know, we were there, and we were, and this is all these iconic buildings in China. You know, they were being built. All of these amazing things were happening in China. It was a really great time to be there. There was a great energy, you know, in the city. And anyway, so one of the highlights for me in my 10 years of living in China was definitely going to the Great Wall of China, but specifically the area that we went to, because I should have researched this before. I forgot the name of it exactly, but there was a section of the wall. I think maybe you guys can help me out in the comment section. For example, I think is it Badaling? Badaling is like the very I think that's the more popular section of the wall. But there's another section, I think it's called like Sima Tai or something like that. I forgot exactly where it is. But anyways, you're able to do about a 15-kilometer hike on the Great Wall. And I remember, and so we're going to go in here and show some of these photos here, because what we had done is we had started at one section, and I think there's another one here. I mean, this is the best photo to see, because we essentially climbed every part of the wall that you see in this photo. So as you can see at the bottom of your screen, you know, this is where we started. And as you go on and just follow that wall, and you can see how it just keeps crisscrossing across the mountaintops. And, you know, there's probably about 20 of these little towers in the middle that, you know, that we almost like a little resting station. And so we had eventually crossed through all of these. And this one's one of my favorite photos, because I think the hike that we did probably lasted at least 4 hours, maybe 5 hours.
I think so.
You know, it might have even been 6 hours. I mean, it was a really a beautiful time to go through there. I mean, there's just some beautiful shots, and it just really shows you the beauty of the Great Wall and the countryside there. I mean, it doesn't get old. I mean, it's just a really incredible experience. For 6 hours, you're so engaged. You're looking at it. You're constantly taking pictures. And I think this is a great shot right here. I love this shot, just to get a feel for how beautiful the countryside is in China, but just how vast. And I mean, this structure, I mean, think about how to build this wall.
Well, it was amazing. I recall one of the really things I learned on the Great China Wall was we just kept walking and walking, and there were points of it where we were actually, the steps weren't a normal step, you know, that was 6 or 8 inches or even 12. It was like 3 feet.
Yeah.
You know, you had to actually climb up the steps, you know.
I got a photo of that. Look at this. This is you.
Yeah.
I mean, this is you climbing up one part, because it was so steep.
Yeah.
And it was just, I remember, I mean, you can see, you know, they've obviously would have rebuilt this part on the left, because, you know, the original is on the right-hand side here, you know, pretty much destroyed or just worn down with, you know, because of time. But I remember that was the amazing thing, you know, yeah, climbing, and some of those gaps, I mean, you're thinking, man, I mean, they're just huge steps, you know. It was, I mean,
it was just incredible to see. And also, the hike was one that I actually got to the point where I didn't think I could take another step. I was just really, really winded, just really tired. And we stopped to rest, and we rested for probably about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And we got up and got our second wind, and I never looked back. I never got tired again. I just, kept going. But it was that amazing, kind of epiphany that at some point you need to just stop and rest.
Yeah.
And just what rest does for you,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I mean, there's so many nice photos here of our hike there. I mean, this is a really cool one. Looking at some of these sections are really, I mean, you look at this section of the wall, I'm pretty sure that would have been rebuilt. I mean, that's just, in perfect condition. I mean, you look at the tower there at the top, it looks, in really, really great shape there. And then in other parts, this would probably be the original, where they've left that to be a little bit more rustic looking, and that, provides a lot of that character as well. So that was really one of the best experiences. I think I've been to the Great Wall of China probably 7-8 times in my, career in China.
Yeah.
But this was the best time. Because a lot of the other times I went and it was just, you kind of go to a spot and you walk up and down, a section, and then you take a few pictures, you kind of soak it in, and then you leave. And there was a chance, there was another golf course called Topwind Golf Club that I played in Beijing. They hosted the Volvo China Open several years. And there was one particular hole that you're teeing off on, and in the distance, you can see the Great Wall of China. And so that was a really iconic. That was one of my favorite courses I played in China. But to be playing golf right underneath the Great Wall of China, that was pretty remarkable. That was really fun. And tell us about this guy, Pops. I remember this guy was quite a character, wasn't he? This guy we met on our walk.
Well, it was really amazing that there are people that live there, make their living, by providing water and providing beverages, as well as books, about the wall, books that have lots of photographs in them, books in English and in different languages. And it was just amazing that sometimes they'll follow you, for a mile or more, or, sometimes some of them would follow even longer. And it was like, they were just, courteous, and they had this, that I always remember that expression that is, that's kind of a Chinese proverb that I've heard over the years. He who cannot smile must not keep shop.
Yeah.
And so this guy was just really, and just everyone that was there, was, just friendly and, accommodating. And one of the real amazing things about being in a large group of people in China, on the street, like, for example, on Nanjing Road, was you'd be walking along and all of a sudden you'd hear, hello.
Yeah,
and you
exactly.
look around and you're thinking, oh gosh, there's a familiar word. There must be somebody that speaks English around here. And you look around and then someone opens up their coat, and here's all these watches, and all these things in there.
Exactly.
And so it's that is a merchant's introduction.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just going back to the stream now. We've got a good buddy of mine, Matt, from the Jiao Nation. I think many of you guys probably follow Matt. So Matt, thank you for jumping in the stream right now. You're joining us from San Diego. Thanks for coming in on the West Coast. And you've helped me out because, like you said, Badaling, that is the most popular section of the Great Wall. That's the closest to downtown Beijing. So I think that's kind of the number one tourist area where, let's say you're really pressed for time. You basically want to go to the Great Wall, grab a photo and leave. You go to Badaling. And Matt said too many people there. And I agree. And I've done that before where I had to be there with a friend and he's, he wants a shot of him on the Great Wall. So we go to Badaling, get it done, and then get out of there. And then I think, Matt, you shared, there it is Mutianyu is a great section of the wall. So that is where I was at. That's where we were at, Mutianyu. That's the name of it. And, we had done a beautiful, again, 15-kilometer hike. And that's, to date, that's one of the coolest things that I've done in my travels. And Matt, thank you for that. And I think, guys, if you're following Matt, Jiao Nation, he is doing some amazing things right now. He has relocated back to the US for the time being. He has bought a van. He is doing some van life, some traveling around. And he's going to be, I think he's coming to my neck of the woods in Vancouver, Canada, fairly soon after the new year. So I think, Matt, we're going to have a chance to meet up. And it's really cool because, I have so many friends now on YouTube. And, it's funny because going through the pandemic, you're at home a lot. That's when I really started making my YouTube channel, because you're at home and you need something to do. And that's how I started my YouTube channel. And so I end up meeting these other YouTubers, and kind of the last couple of years, they've turned into really great friends because we chat all the time. We're WeChat friends, and you chat all the time. But it's funny is you never actually met them in real life,
Yes.
and so that's kind of fun. So it'll be fun to see Matt actually in real life. So Matt, thanks for joining the stream tonight. And I want to catch up. Trevor Norman says, sorry, Cyrus, have to leave at 4 a.m. Sorry, I have to leave. It's 4 a.m. in the UK, and I have to be up for work at 7. Keep up the good work. I'll watch the rest of the stream later. So, Trevor, amazing supporter of the channel. But I mean, look at that, waking up at 3 a.m. to watch the stream, in the UK. I know this time is not the best. It's good for people on the West Coast, I think. It's a little late for us here in Florida, and then it's pretty decent time in Asia if you're watching from Asia. But I really do, really appreciate all of you being in here. This is pretty awesome. We're at 762 people now in the stream, catching in. Look at this, Jayo Nation. Your dad should start a podcast. He has a great deep voice for conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cyrus, going back, how far is the Great Wall of China from downtown Beijing, if you will?
Oh, I think that that Badaling section's maybe 50 kilometers, I'm going to say.
Which, translated into miles for those in America, what would that be?
30 miles,
30
maybe
miles.
Something like that. I mean,
but the thing about it is you can't take a bus directly from Beijing to the wall, but to a drop-off point, and then we had to take a taxi from there.
Well, to that section for sure.
Yeah.
That section here. Let's see. Yeah. So the downtown Beijing to the Great Wall distance is about 60 to 130 kilometers, which is 30 to 80 miles.
Okay.
35 to 80 miles. So again, it depends on what section you're going to.
Yes. Yeah.
I think there's 4 main sections that are open. But the cool thing is, let's just finish up that conversation about there. Hold on. I had another super chat come in. I don't want to miss any of these. So this was Michael Liu. Thank you for the donation to the channel. Nice chat and nice photos. Really appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Very good of you, Cyrus, to introduce your dad live. Absolutely. I love this guy, and it's fun because, I think, the last time, I haven't had a chance to really share a lot about my YouTube stuff. I've been in Canada busy, and, you're here in Florida, and, this is how it works. And so it's fun to come back. And I just said, hey, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to bring you on the channel just for some fun. Let's have some fun. Let's have a nice casual chat. I think it'll be good for the fans, some interaction. And this was kind of, as we get to the end of this hike, this is kind of the end here. So what we're doing is, you can kind of see here at the end, there's a set of stairs, there's a bridge over some water. But I remember this was the nicest thing, is that there was actually a zip line that was just wild. So, you can see, if you look closely at this photo, there's a little pink dot in the center of your screen. That's my dad, who was wearing a pink shirt at the time, and he is literally zipping down the line. And that's how you got off the Great Wall. So, and it was really awesome because I remember being there. And I remember it was really funny is that you come to kind of the end of the hike. And again, you've just done this 5-6 hour hike, and there's 2 options. Number one is, like, you can either take the zip line, or you can walk down this path. And this path kind of just zigzags like this. It just goes back and forth all the way down. And you're looking kind of at the path, and you're like, wow, I've just hiked 5 hours. The last thing I want to do is walk down this path. And then the option B is the zip line. And so I remember saying, like, well, how long does it take you to walk down that path? It's like, well, it's probably an hour, or whatever it was. And I'm like, well, how much is the zip line? I think it was like 20 RMB. And then the guy, I remember the guy telling me, he's like, yeah, it's 20 RMB. And then it zip lines you down to this hostel, and there's a bar there at the end. And we're like, we'll take the zip line.
Oh, yes.
I mean, easy choice there. No one's going to walk again, but we take a zip line. And I remember, we zip line to the bottom, and there's a hostel there. And, and of course our reward was a nice cold beer, a nice cold Qingdao beer, or, at the end there. And so we're just sitting there, and you can see there's a nice, there's a nice, beautiful lake there. It was enjoyable. And you just walked this beautiful section of the wall. You got all your photos in. You've had this great experience meeting people on the wall, talking, and then now you're enjoying a beer at the end. What a great day.
It was amazing.
You know?
Part of that though was that we had our driver that picked us up at that drop-off point and took us the rest of the way to the wall. And he had this little Toyota with a bulldog on it, and he happened to be my vintage. We were the same age.
Yeah.
And you were riding shotgun. I was riding in the back seat. And this guy was just one guy that would lay on the horn.
Yeah.
And it was like we'd be going down a road, and there'd be somebody that may want to cross that may be, 300 or 400 feet ahead. He'd be honking on the horn, here I come, and he'd just stay on the horn. And then anytime that there was anyone around, he was always warning them. But he was driving just absolutely fast.
Yeah.
And I remember this one thing. I was sitting in the back, looking right through the windshield and up there, and here we're going up a hill, and we're passing this car in a blind thing, and this truck comes over the top of the hill in our lane as we're passing, and the truck took the shoulder, and he let us pass, and it was just like, we, how we lived through that, was just really a miracle,
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that, driving in China, I think it's organized chaos, I think is the best way to describe it. It's very chaotic. It's very aggressive. You have to be an aggressive driver, but it works because everybody's aggressive. Like, I think that's where sometimes, in the West, it gets a little bit more dangerous because you have almost half the people are driving conservatively or safely, and then you get some aggressive drivers. But in China, I mean, like, that was the amazing thing. He's in this little Toyota, and we're going up a blind spot on the hill, and he's trying to pass somebody, and then he's just laying on the horn to let everybody know, hey, I'm passing, I'm coming through, and he's just so aggressive. It was, but we've had some crazy rides. I remember in Hong Kong in 2014. We were in Lan Kwai Fong. Now, this was the night before my wedding, so we were out with the boys. We're all having a few drinks and and celebrating my wedding. And I think you and I got done at like we're out with everybody. We probably shut it down around 1:30, 2 o'clock. Not incredibly late for Asia standards. Sometimes the parties go on for a long time. But I remember we jumped in a taxi and we're just rolling through the hills there in Hong Kong, and it felt like a roller coaster. This guy was just. Yeah. And those Hong Kong taxis are great because they got the the big back seats. They're nice leather seats, and that they're extra comfy, and you're just boom, you're just bouncing around through the hills there.
We were bouncing around. In fact, we took turns sitting on each other's lap, because we were going from side to side. The way
we're just bouncing back and forth.
But one of the things talking about traffic though is when you're in a taxi or you're in an area, you'll have the stoplight will stop, and then you'll see. There'll be, maybe 300 or 400 people, that will be on bikes and motorcycles that'll pass back and forth in front of you. And then when it's time for you to go, you're going, there's still some pedestrian, but people that are driving in China, they don't talk, they don't honk to be rude like they would like in New York City, for example, because you got in their way or, you did something. They honk to let people know that they're there. Just as a warning, I'm right here, just, beep, beep, just be careful, don't get in the way of the car, and it is really just one of warning.
Nice. Yeah, that's absolutely. Yeah. Well, guys, we've had an amazing time here tonight. This was a really fun time. And what I want to do is I want to try to keep this, right around 90 minutes. I think it's a good time for the stream for tonight. But so I want to just ask if anybody has any questions. We've had a pretty active comment section. I'm just kind of looking through. So let me know. We got a few people here in Vancouver. So Peter Fu, I'm in Vancouver. Let's have some dim sum. Love the dim sum. Vancouver, probably best dim sum in the world there. So that's good. Thank you so much. I think I saw another one. Another person coming in from Burnaby had said that. So actually what I do want to do, I'm going to do, one more shout out here. So we've got just over 700 people in the stream. So again, today's video, guys, it is sponsored by a company in Vancouver. It's called Stay Fresh Canada. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play their ad just one more time because I'm sure we've had some new people join into the stream. And again, if the holiday season is coming, if you're in the Vancouver area, you like sport, I want you to go ahead and check this out. Also, if you look at the description here, you're gonna see a link to my secondary YouTube channel that's about golf, it's about fitness, it's about lifestyle. I'd love for you guys to head over to that channel and give me a subscribe there as well. That channel is just getting started. We just have a few hundred subscribers there. That'd be awesome. But let's go ahead and play this one more time, and then we'll open it up to some question and answers and finish up the stream tonight. Hello everybody, I want to welcome you back to the YouTube channel, and I know that I have many fans and subscribers right here in Vancouver, Canada. Now the sponsor for today's video is one of my favorite brands in Vancouver. This is Stay Fresh Canada, and if you are an athlete like myself that likes great apparel, some amazing shoes, what I want you to do is come and check out the amazing inventory here at Stay Fresh Canada. The holiday season is here, Christmas is approaching, so is Boxing Day. There's going to be some amazing sales going on here at Stay Fresh Canada. Now what I want you to do is I want you to click the link down below, and it's going to take you to my secondary YouTube channel that focuses on lifestyle, athletics, and fitness. And you're going to see the entire video that we've done with Stay Fresh Canada. So I want to give a huge thank you to Stay Fresh for sponsoring today's video. Click that link below and let's get started on some amazing content. All right, so guys, I love the ad there with Stay Fresh. These guys are really amazing company. I know the owner of the company. He's a great entrepreneur. Really somebody that just hustles really well. So again, if you have somebody that is into basketball shoes, Jordan shoes, really athletic apparel, if you're in the Lower Mainland, they have some amazing deals coming up, especially on Boxing Day. I think they're going to have a really good deal. So if you're in the Lower Mainland, and if not, you can also get stuff online as well. So, make sure that you follow them on Instagram. And again, watch the full video. I did a full kind of training and workout video that, in collaboration with them on my secondary YouTube channel. So make sure that you do watch that as well. So guys, we're gonna open it up to some questions and answers. I'm just gonna see if anybody have any questions that you'd like to ask my dad or me or both of us. Just let me know, and we'll see what is what's going on as we finish up this chat. Mansana, Cyrus Douyin persona is very different from YouTube. I'm gonna be that's my big goal for 2022 is I'm gonna get back more into my Douyin, which is the Chinese TikTok, doing a lot more of my comedy skits and a lot more of my other stuff. So I definitely want to do that. So Dennis Wee, thank you, Janssen's, thank you guys. Keep up your dream, be cool. Thank you so much. Aloha from Franklin. Thank you for joining from Hawaii. Obviously, come to India someday. I'd love to. Next, Cyrus's children go live. Probably not. I like to keep my children off of social media. I don't typically, feature them. I just like a little bit of privacy there. That's just my wife and I's kind of our the way that we like to parent. We don't like to have our children exposed too much, just for privacy. We don't have them on, for example, on Facebook, everything like that. We're pretty low key on the social media. So, but if you do follow me on Douyin, I do have some shots of my kids, but usually they're like a side shot. They're not really, featured in, but that might change because my daughter has an amazing personality. I think she would be an amazing YouTuber. And, she's so proud of her dad being a YouTuber that she'll be like, she always wants to record a video with me. And she always like, Dad, let's do a video together. And, she'll grab my phone and she'll practice, and it's like, hello, everybody. Today I'm in Daddy's office and we're going to make a video today. And, she just says the funniest things, it's actually so sweet. Dad, are you helping more people understand China? Yes, sweetheart. That's what we do. We're trying to help, we're trying to be this bridge, between the United States and China. We're trying to fight for a better world where everybody can get along. And, that's really what we need. So that's really the motivation behind this channel. I know many of you, it's quite amazing to have the feedback that we get. I get every day, I'm getting emails from people around the world, people encouraged from the videos. I get a lot of emails from Chinese students, from Chinese international students, from many, who just are like, well, thank you for, being objective about China. Thank you for, sharing a little bit of truth about China, just because, it's really difficult, I'm coming out with some really heavy videos, in the next couple of weeks, really talking about some serious things. I watched, if you follow me on Twitter, check out my last tweet that I sent out yesterday. There was a segment on Fox News where, some guest, I don't even know who he was, but he was on Tucker Carlson's show. And he literally said, we need a United States military that is going to sit on a throne of Chinese skulls. And, that comment is just so ridiculous. I mean, it's so inappropriate. And the problem is like, imagine if you are a Chinese international student studying in America. Imagine if you're a Chinese American. That is the thing that we can't have that. That is absolutely toxic when you have somebody talking like that. And, that is just a hate speech if I've ever heard any. And so again, that's something that, we really need to, try to seek out these similarities and make sure that we can start building these better relations. And anyway, so I'm really excited as we kind of close out 2021. I've got some big goals for 2022 with the channel. I mean, there's some big topics that I want to talk about. I'm going to be making a video about Taiwan very soon. I think Taiwan's been a lot in the comment section a lot. I've got a very interesting take on Taiwan that I'd like to share with everybody as well. This Rubber Toes Adventure channel, this guy has been very, very aggressive here in our channel. I'm going to put him in a little timeout here. So he's been a little bit spammy in the comment section. I haven't been paying too much attention to that, but anyways, it's now almost your dad's bedtime. It is. I think it's all of our bedtimes. So here we go. So anyways, sorry guys if you had to put up with Roberto or whatever his name was. I know I sometimes try to ban anybody that's a bit too spammy and if they're a bit rude. Anyways, guys, I want to thank you for tonight's I want to thank you guys for your support tonight. If I don't have any other questions from you, I think we're going to end it there as we've reached our 90-minute mark. And just want to say thank you guys.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you all for the support. Let's give the final word to Pops.
Oh gosh, well, thank you so much, Cyrus, for having me on your channel. And I never dreamed this would happen. And there's just a lot that I need to learn about what you're doing. And this is really a great experience, to see it firsthand. So thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, I think we'll have to do it again in the future. Maybe sometime when you, maybe next time you guys visit in Vancouver or, whenever we can share some more adventures. But I think it was fun to recount that first trip back in China in 2007. That was really good. So thank you, Pops.
Absolutely.
Love you, buddy.
Yes,
you're
absolutely.
The best.
It is 11:30 and it is a little past my bedtime.
Yeah, mine too. All right, guys, thank you so much. Stay tuned for some new videos coming out, some things that you can expect. I have interviewed American Sean Ryan. He is a fantastic follow on Twitter. Mansana, if you're still watching, I know you asked me many times. Sean Ryan and I probably took about a year for us to finally be able to coordinate our time. But we've got about an hour, I'm going to say it's about a 90-minute video that we've recorded together. So I'm still putting the final touches on that editing. Another interview with Terry Wittenmeyer, the author of Fearing China. Him and I sat down for a fantastic chat, and we talked specifically about a Wall Street Journal called Can the United States Contain China? He shares his really interesting insights into that. Again, author Terry Wittenmeyer. I've got another video with Richard Turin that we talk about, these countries in the Caribbean that are, partnering with China in their digital currency. So we've got some really interesting topics coming up, guys. I can't wait to share it all with you. It is coming close to the holiday season, so make sure that you're spending some time with your family. Might be a little bit less active because I'm back here. I'm meeting up with friends and family and just having a good time here in Florida, kind of recharging the batteries. But we're going to get ready for a fantastic 2022. Stay well, everybody. Last one, I just got a super chat in from Mei Chung. Thank you for the support. And again, thank you all for being here. And we'll see you all in the next video.